there, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel where I chat about what I'm knitting, what I'm sewing, what I'm making, or whatever other crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. And as always, I'm so happy that you're here hanging out with me, chatting about all those fantastic things. And yeah, I am back with lots to catch you up on, hopefully a very fun and eventful episode. So gather around, grab a cup of something, and let's get into things. No real announcements to share with you this week other than it is really hot here in Bushwick, Brooklyn. According to my Alexa over there, it's 68 degrees. Sorry, Alexa, I was not talking to you. According to that device over there, it is about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm not quite sure what that is in Celsius. Alexa, what is 68 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius?
68 degrees Fahrenheit is 20 degrees Celsius.
There you go. Thank you, Alexa. I actually did need her. Who knew? But anyway, yes, lots of fun stuff to share with you this week. So without further ado, let's get into things. But first, just a quick word from my lovely and amazing sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for creative and curious people. Like most knitters, I enjoy taking photos of my finished objects, and usually I'm the only one around to get the shot. If you're struggling with self-portrait photography and want to capture beautiful images of your finished makes, I highly recommend classes like Get Confident with Self-Portrait Photography, taught by Jess Monroe, Self-Portraits Telling Your Unique Story by Tabitha Park, and Photography for Instagram, Capture and Share Your Life with Hannah Argyle. If this sounds like something that you're into, click on the link in the description box below and you can try Skillshare for 2 weeks absolutely free on yours truly. You're welcome, and thank you, Skillshare. Works in progress, works in progress. All right, yes, I do have a new work in progress to share with you. Last episode, I should say, I took last week off from recording, but in the previous episode, I shared some projects that I had finished, and when one finishes a project, naturally you want to cast on something else because I will admit, I was left with idle hands. I was a knitter without a project and it did not feel right. So I had a couple of patterns that I was tossing around in my head, humming and hawing over, and I finally settled on The Widow's Kiss by Thea Coleman. And this is a project that I thought about casting on, or I actually did cast on a while back, but as I said, I messed up the ribbing and I just wasn't in the right headspace where I wanted to rip back and start all over again. But recently I was watching Ellie of Skander Knits. If you have not checked out her YouTube channel, what, pray tell, are you doing with your life? She is a dear friend and an amazing pattern designer. She is a Norwegian living in the UK, and yeah, her patterns are just incredible. She does the most amazing, beautiful color work, and yeah, anyway, I will link to her channel below. Do check it out when you get a chance. But anyway, I was watching her channel and she cast on The Widow's Kiss, and I was just like, I really, really want that sweater in my wardrobe. So here we are. This is where I am with this pattern. And yes, it is black yarn, indeed. Something that I did not do the first time I cast this pattern on, but I did complete Sleeve Island. I'm well off Sleeve Island. Here are side sleeves. And yeah, they're just 2 tubes. This pattern is knit from the bottom up, and again, I'm not a huge fan of bottom up sweaters because of like, the length and the sizing. It's a little hard to gauge, for lack of a better word, but I really do appreciate casting on the sleeves first, because if you've been following this channel for quite some time, we've established that I am not a swatcher. I hate swatching and avoid it at all costs, but the sleeves are a sneaky swatch. Technically, they are a built-in swatch. So, for people that do not like swatching, it tricks you into swatching because, you start out with a sleeve and you're just knitting around and around. If your gauge happens to be on point, you can just continue knitting on and you'll have a sleeve in no time. You'll already have all that progress built in. So I did the ribbing correctly this time, and it's not even that complicated. It's just 1x1 ribbing, and then she has a couple of setup ribbings on the side. I don't know if you can see this. Again, I apologize. It's black yarn. I'll do my best for you to see it, but yeah, there's a little texture in there that leads into the cable motif, which looks, I will say, at first glance when you look at the pattern, it looks like a complicated cable pattern, but my friends, do not be fooled. It is stupid simple. It's just, you know, each cable is no more than like a 5-stitch crossover, if that makes any sense. And they're no more than 2 cables per repeat. And the rest of the pattern essentially is just 2x2 rib in the round. Yeah, it's really, really easy. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Dare I say I can focus on watching Netflix, TV, or a YouTube channel while I'm working on this. You know, occasionally, yes, having to look down while I'm doing a cable stitch, but again, those cable stitches are very, very simple to execute. Yeah, so this pattern is very intuitive, easy, and I'm really, really enjoying it and so glad that I cast it on. Yeah, it's wunderbar. The yarn that I'm using is Valley Yarns Northampton in their charcoal colorway. And I'll put this up so you can see it. Valley Yarns is actually Webb's Yarn Stores, their in-house yarn brand. Here's what it looks like in the ball. And bonus points, I don't have to wind it. I can just, you know, pull it from the ball itself. It's great. You know, anytime I don't have to wind a cake, bonus, win. But if I had to liken this yarn to another yarn brand, I would say it's pretty on par with Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. Again, this is worsted weight yarn, 100% wool. The only difference is that it's softer. It's softer, more close to skin, next to skin, whereas I find Knit Picks yarn is a lot, you know, more, again, that word rustic. It's an excellent workhorse yarn that's great to work with, nothing against Knit Picks at all. I love working with them. But this is, you know, just, it's similar but softer. So, you know, if you are looking for budget yarn per se, I believe this yarn was about $6 or $7 per ball. Yeah, so if you're looking for, you know, budget yarn but want a softer version of it, this might be your best bet. So yeah, that's just my humble opinion. And I believe that is all I have to say about this project at this moment. So yeah, Widow's Kiss, thoroughly enjoying it. It's just zooming by, and I cannot wait to wear this next fall. Yeah. This next project I'm actually really excited to talk about because, full disclosure, this is not a sponsorship whatsoever. We Are Knitters. They reached out to me asking if I would be interested in trying out one of their kits. They're not paying me at all. They just said, we want to send you a kit, you can try it, you know, talk about it, and, you know, just, you know, talk about it on the podcast, see if you like it, and, you know, have at it. But I took a look at their website and they had a lot of cute patterns to choose from. It was actually really hard for me to decide, but I did decide. I decided on the Napa Cardigan. And yeah, at first glance, it's just a simple, straightforward stockinette cardigan that, you know, you can just chuck on over whatever. And the one thing that I was very apprehensive about is that it calls for cotton yarn, which is something, or a yarn that I haven't knit with in quite some time for, you know, for reasons, you know, that cotton yarn usually feels kind of weird in your hands, and I don't know, it's just not warm or woolly, but summer is upon us, and I saw this pattern and I was like, you know what, this would be a great beach cover-up, or just something to, you know, when Dennis and I go to Cape Cod, I run a bit cold, and, you know, sitting on the beach sometimes, depending on the weather and the wind, I wouldn't mind having a little cardigan like this, a cotton cardigan, just to, you know, chuck on over my shoulders at the beach. So yeah, I decided on this one, and I was pleasantly surprised. The yarn that they send you is their, it's called The Cotton. It's 100% Pima cotton. If you look at the pattern again, you're supposed to hold 2 contrasting colorways together to get this really awesome marled effect. And, you know, while a lot of people are using bright neon, you know, colors, knowing me, guys, come on, I am all about the moody, all about the dark. So of course I had to get one color in black and the other color in their pearl gray. Oops. So I got these 2 colorways. One is obviously black and the other one is their pearl gray colorway. So it's kind of like this warm, kind of muted gray. I mean, muted gray, is that even a way to describe gray? Technically, gray is muted. It's just a muted white. Oh, goodness. In the kit, they also sent me a set of knitting needles. Not that I needed them, but I guess, you know, they wanted me to have the full experience of getting the kit. So thank you so much for sending me an extra pair of needles. These are a US size 11 or 8mm set. And then what else did they send me? They sent me everything you need to make this sweater. They sent me a darning needle kit, because I did not realize that this was a cardigan knit in pieces, which I'm not too much of a fan of. While I don't necessarily like grafting or sewing my garments together after I'm done knitting them, it's not a deal breaker. I'm sure it'll go by very quickly because, you know, again, US size 11 needles, this thing is gonna knit up pretty quickly. So yeah, they also sent some fun stickers, which are really awesome. And of course, there's the included pattern. So yeah, they have a schematic on the back, really thorough, very clear instructions. I think any beginner, adventurous beginner can tackle this project. And they even give you instructions on how to finish and join your project at the end, which I admittedly am probably going to have to refer to, but just to give you, because it is a paid pattern, I won't show you the actual instructions, but they do give you instructions on how to graft everything together with diagrams and everything. So win. So anyway, enough waffling on about the kit. Let's talk about the progress I've made. Here is where I am. So yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit transparent. Not swatching. Working with the needles that they sent me, and you know, I think again, it's going to be a very loose cardigan that I can just chuck on over myself at the beach or wherever, or on a cool summer night or day. And yeah, it's just gonna be, I think this is gonna become a go-to cardigan for me because it's just so fun. And I love the way it's marling up. It kind of reminds me of one of those marble notebooks that, you know, I had in grade school or college. The knitting needles that they sent are actually really, really well made. I like them. I wasn't sure if I was going to like them at first because when, you know, I first pulled them out of the box, they're made of wood and they aren't exactly laminated or anything or glazed, or they're just plain wood. But I found as I knit with them, it kind of picked up, I guess, like the oils in my skin, and now it just has this nice smooth sheen and finish to it. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but I really, really like what happened here. I will say knitting with larger knitting needles is a bit taxing on my wrists and my hands. Maybe that's just me, but I personally like knitting with a finer needle. But I find, you know, 8mm US size 11 is the sweet spot for me. Anything higher, I think I would just kind of lose patience with because yeah, my tiny lady hands. Case in point, when I was younger, I used to practice guitar and I could, you know, do some power chords, but I could never do the full bar, what is it, the F chord or whatever on a guitar. It was just, my tiny lady hands just couldn't reach. So anyway, yeah, maybe that explains why I can't really comfortably knit with a large knitting needle, but these are just fine. Really, really enjoying them. But yeah, working my way up the back of the Napa cardigan. Again, this is just a project that I'm reaching for when I just need something mindless to work on or a break from the cables. And I have a feeling this is gonna knit up very, very quickly. So once I'm done with the back, I get to work on the sides and then the sleeves and then connect everything, bring everything together, and I will have a nice summer cardi. So yay, that is where I am with that. And again, thank you so much to We Are Knitters for sending me this awesome little kit. And I'll link to all the information down below if you want to check it out for yourself, and Bob's your uncle. Ooh, all right, it is getting warm in here. I need to crack a window open, guys. And I probably had way too much caffeine for my own good this morning. But that is all the creative content that I have to share with you this week. No sewing to speak of. And I'm gonna be a little bit real with you guys here. I have been doing a little bit of decluttering around the house, around my craft room. I've been doing a little bit of mental decluttering as well. And I'm trying to weed out the things that, you know, don't really bring me joy and focus on the things that at the end of the day fill me up and do bring me joy. And I have to be honest with you. Sewing is something that, while I appreciate the art and the craft that goes into it and the work, and you know, getting to that finished garment, there's nothing like it. But the process, I find, if I'm being completely honest with myself, it stresses me out. And I admire anybody that can do amazing things with sewing. It's just, for me, I would rather spend my weekends doing other things, I've decided. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy sewing the occasional project bag and working on the occasional quilting project, although I think it has to be on the smaller scale. Me trying to tackle these queen size, king size throws, I think is not a very good idea. But I would rather spend my weekends either knitting or focusing on, photography. Sewing is just one of those crafts, I feel like, that, while I do appreciate it, it's not my true jam, if that makes any sense. That's completely fine with me. I'm okay with that. I've made peace with that. Yes, I've spent years, weekends, just punching out all these garments and everything, which I'm very, very proud of. Very proud of myself for being able to create beautiful garments and, just tackling a skill that is so epic as sewing. It's amazing. But at the end of the day, it's just not my jam. So feels so good to get that off my chest. I just wanted to, mention that here in case you're wondering, Kristen, what's going on with the sewing? That's what's going on with the sewing. So yeah, anyway, I'm trying to think what else is going on with my life. I guess we have officially entered the Blather segment where I talk about life stuff. In other news, a lot of you commented on my hair last week. Thank you so much. Yes, I did lighten it. If you are not familiar, I've been dyeing my hair black, box dye black, ever since my last year of college, and have just gone through like phases of trying to lighten it and failing miserably. So after the pandemic hit, I just decided, to stop dyeing my hair black, trying to grow it out and fade it so I could have an easier time lightening it. Tried lightening it on my own. I got like 2 boxes of L'Oreal's Zap It, which basically, strips your hair. So it just gets all the dye out. Anyway, long story short, lots of chemistry involved and science. I was able to lighten it, which you've probably seen in previous episodes where it's just like really, really light. However, the camera does amazing things to make it look nice and even and soft, but in reality, when you go outside, the natural light, oh my goodness, yeah, it was like 3 shades of orange, which is not the effect I was going for. I mean, it was the level that I liked, but not the shade. So I decided to bite the bullet and just go to a salon and have it professionally corrected. Anyway, the stylist worked wonders. It's a little bit darker than it was on previous episodes, which I'm completely fine with. I did not want like super light hair. I wanted it to be a dark brown that was just 1 shade. So, she counteracted all the copper tones and made it this great brown. So I'm very, very happy. But anyway, yes, thank you so much for all the lovely compliments. Yeah, I no longer have to dye my hair black anymore because black dye is very, very difficult to get out. Once you dye it black, it's just, you're kind of stuck with it. I am gonna end things there. Thank you so much, as always, for hanging out with me. If you're new here, welcome to my little corner of the interwebs. If you haven't already, please feel free to like and subscribe down below. I put out a video for your viewing pleasure most weeks when I have time and have something to talk about, which is usually weekly, but sometimes I skip a week. Anyway, I digress. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until the next video, bye!